Ananai nai nai nai, yai nai 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 nai, yana nai 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 nai, yana nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai, yana nai 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 nai. Try that with me. Yana nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai, yana nai 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 nai, yana nai 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 nai, yai nai 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 nai, yana nai 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 nai, yai yai yai, yai da nai 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 nai, yana nai 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 nai, yai.
What a joyful way to welcome Shabbat, to start our service. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So thank you. So pleased to be here in the sanctuary with Daniel and his very immediate family, 10 or 12 of us here to celebrate together. And so pleased to be with everyone who is on Zoom and everyone who is joining us through our live stream. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We hope that you will be comfortable wherever you are. You'll feel able to participate in our service, and you will, whether it's through the e-waves or here in our sanctuary, support Daniel as he takes on a new status, the status of Bar Mitzvah. To begin, let me say a word or two about our prayer book. As you can imagine, Daniel will be leading us in some of the prayers today, so we hope you can participate. Our prayer book is this book, Mishkan Tefillah, under the seats of those of us in the sanctuary. If you're watching on Zoom, it's in the chat. You can click the link and follow along. And if you're on the live stream, just above this picture is a square that looks like this prayer book, and we invite you to click on it, maybe double your screen like that so that you can participate and follow along this morning. And before we get to the prayer book in earnest, it's our custom here at Rodeo Shalom to pause at this moment in the service to invite the parents of our Bar Mitzvah to take a private moment with their son. So I'd like to invite Sandy and Leslie to stand with Daniel as they take their own family moment, and the rest of us prepare for worship as well.
To a land that I will show you, Lech Lecha, to a place you do not know, Lechi Lach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing, you shall be a blessing, you shall be a blessing, Lechi Lach. And now if you'll turn to page 195 in your prayer books and rise for the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, HaMevorach
And on that same page, if you're comfortable with the Hebrew of Yotzer or a prayer that speaks to beautiful mornings, and this is one such beautiful morning, won't you join me? Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzer or uvorei hoshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol. Hameir la'aretz v'lidarim aleha berachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamim ma'aseh v'reshit. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita, mal'a ha'aretz kinyanecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, ve'al me'orei or she'asita yifa'arucha selah. Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir v'nizgei kulanu mehera le'orot, Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMe'orot. And we continue in words of gratitude and praise on page 199. Ahava Rabbah is a prayer that speaks of God's love, and we share in this English version of this prayer responsively, one paragraph at a time. O God, inspiration and guide for all, you have spoken in 1,000 tongues to hear. In every land and every age, your children have heard you and imagined you in separate ways. And yet, O God, you are one, unifier of humanity. Please join me. We give thanks for the sages and teachers who understanding of your will. Gratefully we recall the lawgivers and prophets, the psalmists and sages of Israel, and joyfully we remember that from the dawn of Israel's life, we would turn to you and find purpose. May the teachings of our ancestors live on in our minds and their passion for righteousness stir our hearts. Help us to live so that our daily conduct reveals the beauty and wisdom of your truth. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael, ba'ahava. And on the next page, Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuta Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. And on the next page, will you join me in chanting the Ve'ahavta? Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
On page 203, we have a poem that helps us make our way towards the song Mi Chamocha. Sing the song of men and women, joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Shira chadasha, shimchu geulim, leshimcha svat hayam, yachad kulam hodu, ve'imlichu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Tzur Yisrael, kuma bezrat Yisrael, ufedechenu mecha Yehuda veYisrael, goaleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo, kadosh Yisrael, baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Come on up, Daniel. And won't you continue helping us lead the service?
Rise.
We continue with the tefillah on page 205. Please join me as we chant the prayers on the next 3 pages together. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Hasdeavot v'Imahot, V'Gula Lifnei V'nehem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Vezrat Sarah. Source of all being, we turn to you as did our people in ancient days. They beheld you in the heavens, they felt you in their hearts, they sought you in their lives. Their quest is ours. Together, help us to see the wonder of being. Give us the courage to search for truth. Teach us the path to a better life. So shall we, by our lives and our labors, bring nearer the world we envision, one of justice, freedom, and peace. We continue together on the next page with Gevurot. Ata gibor leolam Adonai, mechaye hakol, ata rav lehoshia, mashiv heruach umorid hagashem, mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim verofei cholim, umatir asurim, umakayem emunato lishene yafar, micha mocha bal gevurot, umidon melach, melech memit, umachaye, umazmir Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. We continue with the Kiddushah on page 208.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 ישמיענו ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Page 210. To all generations we will make known your greatness, and to all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. We continue with the singing of Yismechu on page 211.
ומלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. מקדשי שבי שבת, כולם ישמעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו שבת. חמדת ימים אותו קראת שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת.
Those who keep Shabbat by calling it a delight will rejoice in your realm. The people that hallow Shabbat will delight in your goodness. For being pleased with the seventh day, you hallowed it as the most precious of days, drawing our attention to the work of creation. Please join me in singing Kadshenu. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu ritzei v'imnuchatenu kadoshenu b'mitzvotecha v'tein chelkenu b'toratecha sabenu mituvecha v'samchenu b'shuatecha v'taher libenu le'ovdecha be'erev. aleinu. Ve'ahava uratzon Shabbat kodshecha. Israel mekadeshei shamecha. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Wonderful job, Daniel. That was awesome. You can take your seat as we continue with our the service here. We're on page 212, page 212. Are we singing Ritzay, or am I reading Ritzay? I am reading it. Great. Won't you join me in the English version of Ritzay in the middle of page 212? We can read responsively one paragraph at a time. On this Shabbat day, as you graciously receive our prayers, help us to hear your call. Grant us enough health to fulfill our duties and the compassion we need to attend to others. Won't you join me? Teach us humility that we may perceive our own faults. Grant us the wisdom to be forgiving of others. Give us the courage to be true to our highest selves and the charity to see the best in those around us. Give us patience enough not to become discouraged, hope enough to overcome all fears of the future, and faith enough to know your presence. O source of blessing, look with favor upon us, and may our offerings be acceptable to you. We praise you, Adonai, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadecha beyira na'avod. And this section of our service ends with a prayer for peace, Sim Shalom, on page 216. Sim Shalom tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha. Barchenu yotzrenu kulanu ke'echad be'or panecha, ki ve'or panecha natata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, Torat chayim v'ahavat chesed utzdaka uvracha v'rachamim v'chayim v'shalom. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol et u'v'chol sha'a bishlomecha. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, who blesses your people Israel with peace. And after that prayer of peace, we take a peaceful moment for our own personal, our own private prayers.
Israel ve'al kol
continue now with what is the highlight of this service for you, Daniel, Seder Kriyat Torah, the service for the reading of the Torah. In reading the Torah, of course, Daniel, you officially become Bar Mitzvah. In reading the Torah, you are establishing a connection with our tradition, the commandments, the lineage of our people. So we're looking forward to that. And we know that reaching this point is really a huge achievement. It was a year of intense preparation, but really much more than that, as you've been preparing to create a foundation, connecting yourself to our tradition, to your family for years and years. And we're excited to be celebrating this milestone with you. We're so pleased that all 4 of your grandparents are with you as well. And we begin with words of congratulations to the grandparents. We are so glad that Sylvia and Leon Rubenstein are with us, as well as Sherry and Gerald Paul. It's so wonderful to have all your grandparents, especially in this time, who are able to be here in good health with you. And it is our custom, before we actually read from the Torah, to create a very important and symbolic moment as we pass the Torah from one generation to the next, ending in the arms of Daniel. So at this time, I'd like to invite all of the grandparents to come and stand here at the base of the Torah, as well as Leslie, Sandy, and Daniel. And I'd like to ask Emma to take the responsibility of passing the Torah through these generations. So if everyone would come forward, and those who wish, do that. Thank you, Emma. We're now going to ask, help me out here, Sandy, everybody to get in a line. Thank you, Frank.
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein k'masecha. Malechutecha, malechut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'dor.
Daniel, as you receive this Torah, remember its teachings, its wisdom, and its history. Let it guide you this day and all days. As you embrace it, so may you embrace what it has meant for the Jewish people over the generations. Judaism is history and hope, learning and laughter. We pray that the story of the Jewish people continues brightly with you as you grow as a person and as a Jew. May you embrace the Torah your whole life.
Daniel, holding that beautiful scroll, we invite you and everyone to join us in singing the Shema of the Torah service.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlul Adonai iti, unerom b'Shemo yachdav.
And thank you to Emma for being our Torah carrier. Emma, as you place the Torah, the small Torah, back in its stand, Daniel, you're going to get to read from the main Torah there with your mom and dad on either side. Grandparents are invited to return to their seats. Thank you, everyone. Over to Daniel, who will lead this part of the service.
Daniel, you can go ahead and start with your Torah portion intro.
The Torah portion for this Shabbat that I will be reading is called Vayikra. It comes from the book of Leviticus, and my Hebrew reading begins with chapter 2, verse 1. In this portion, the details of the sacrificial system are enumerated. The Israelites introduced the meal offerings to the priests as a sacrifice to God.
And for the honor of the first Aliyah, we'd like to invite up Daniel's grandparents, Sylvia and Leon Rubenstein. Please come to this podium, and you can take off your masks for this. It's the laminated page.
Do I get a cue?
Whenever you're ready.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'nefesh ki takriv korban mincha l'Adonai, so let yihye korbano. Ve'yatzak aleha shemen, v'natan aleha livona. Ve'heviyah el bnei Aharon hakohanim, ve'kamat misham melokum so, misota umishamna al kol levonata, v'yiktir hakohen et azkarata hamizbecha yishei reach nichoach la'Adonai. V'hanoteret min hamincha la'Aharon ulvanav, kodesh kodashim meishe Adonai.
Great. And the second blessing, please.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Thank you so much, Sylvia and Leon. You can be seated. You can be seated. And for the honor of the second Aliyah, we'd like to invite Daniel's other grandparents, Sherry and Gerald Paul, to the podium.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'chi takriv korban mincha ma'afei tanur, so let chalot matzot balulot bashemen, orkike matzot mishuchim bashamen. Ve'im mincha al hamachavat korbanecha, so let blulav bashemen matzah tihiyeh. Partot ota pitim, ve'atzakta aleha shamen, mincha hi.
And the second blessing.
Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet. V'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Thank you very much, Sherry and Gerald. You can have a seat after you congratulate Daniel. And for the honor of the third and final Aliyah, we will call our Bar Mitzvah boy. Ya'amod, 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 Habachur Bar Mitzvah, Baruch She'Yisrael, Ben Aryeh Lev Le'afreda L'Aliyah LaTorah.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Ve'im minchat marcheshet korbanecha, סולת בשמן תעשה, והבאת את המנחה אשר יעשה מאלה לאדוני, והקריבה אל הכהן, והגישה אל המזבח, והרים הכהן מן המנחה את אזכרתה, והקטיר המזבח אישי ריח ניחוח לאדוני, והנותרת מן המנחה לאהרון ולבניו, קודש קודשים מאישי אדוני. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Daniel, beautiful job. You just did all the Hebrew. Take a deep breath, shrug your shoulders, shake them out. You did it. So the next step we're going to do, while you get ready to give us some words of wisdom about all that beautiful Torah that you just read, we're going to invite up your sister Emma and your cousins, Andy and Joey, to come help dress the Torah. וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל, על פי אדוני ביד משה. יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי. Thank you, Andy, Joey, and Emma. And Daniel, whenever you're ready, you can begin.
My Bar Mitzvah service is a huge milestone that follows a year's worth of preparation. When I started a year ago, everything was much different. My B'nai Mitzvah cohort and I were going to have group meetings and talk about the meaning and values of our Torah portions. I was going to share my service with a partner, and our group was going to have a volunteer day together at the Arlington Food Assistance Center. But even though COVID changed a lot of things, one thing that never changed was my Torah portion. My Torah portion is about making sacrifices for God. In Hebrew, we call that korban. The Israelites did it because they wanted to be karov, which means near God. The Torah portion includes a lot of details about making meal offerings to God. For example, we are instructed about how to scoop flour, where to pour oil, and the specific process for creating these meal offerings. We cannot bring meal offerings to God in the same way anymore because the temple in Jerusalem no longer exists. But instead, we are doing other things to connect and be close to God. One way I'm connecting with God is by collecting and donating sports equipment for kids who want to play sports but don't have the necessary equipment or money to do so. The organization I'm working with is called Leveling the Playing Field. With the help from family and friends, I was able to collect hockey, baseball, softball, golf, and soccer equipment. I'm very glad that I can help out these kids so they can play the sports they've wanted to. The lessons I have learned from the Torah about this are tzedakah, gemilut chasadim, and tikkun olam. Righteousness, acts of loving kindness, and repairing the world are all values that are important to me. My mitzvah project is a way I can demonstrate these values. The sport I play the most is ice hockey. Hockey requires a lot of discipline and self-awareness. You need to know where everyone is at all times, so you always have a step up on knowing the next move. To me, the rules in the Torah are asking Jews to have the same discipline and self-awareness in hockey. It's not all about scoring goals, it's also about assisting others, so the team can perform its best. This is just like assisting other kids who are less fortunate, so they can achieve their goal of playing sports. It also relates to my Torah portion in which Jews work as a team to honor God through sacrifice. This past year has been very difficult for everyone due to COVID, but I'm very thankful that we can be together today. Because of this pandemic, my school routine has been disrupted, my sports schedule has changed, and I can't see friends as much as I would like. However, the Jewish people have overcome even tougher obstacles than COVID. We will bounce back even stronger, just like we have many times before. My Bar Mitzvah is a part of a long tradition, and I'm very proud to be continuing it. Lastly, I wanted to give a quick thank you to everyone who has helped me prepare and make this day happen. Thank you to the clergy for their guidance. A special thank you to Rabbi Schwartzman, who officiated at my parents' wedding and my sister's bat mitzvah, and made a special point of being here today. Thank you to my parents for helping me stay on track, my sister for her support, my grandparents for listening to me in practice and giving me tips, and my amazing tutor, Nava Feder, for guiding me and helping me understand the importance of this day. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Daniel, check it off, man. Right out. Let's use a sports metaphor. That's baseball. Right out of the ballpark. What do you say in hockey? Like, right into the net. That was awesome. You did a great job. I think you deserve to sit down. So why don't you have a seat? Yep, take that. Relax. I get to be the first of many people, 10 of us in here, and many people on Zoom and on the live stream to say to you, Daniel, Mazal Tov, congratulations for everything that this day represents, for all of the preparation, for the endurance and flexibility that you had to show in order to get to this point in these COVID times. And for just being a wonderful leader today. You led the service beautifully. You chanted Torah wonderfully. And I love that you took this Torah portion, the first Torah portion of the book of Leviticus, which is all about sacrifices, which are exceedingly foreign to us, all about animals and slaughtering. We don't want to know about that, right? And you found a way to connect it to our lives today. Not only our lives today, but even our lives today in this challenging pandemic that we're living in. I'm really so grateful to you. And of course, yes, I feel a special connection having yet another life cycle event for your family. It's very exciting for me. Thank you. And I wanted to just, as you were speaking these words about this Torah portion, and even I love your connection to hockey and the idea of helping others and being part of a team, your mitzvah project. I was aware of another little piece that just puts a final marking, like an explanation point on your words from the Torah portion itself. So I'm going to share that, if that's okay. So your Torah portion is called Vayikra. And you may remember someday when you're 33, when you're 53, when you're 73, you might remember this Torah portion, you might not, but at least maybe remember the name, because the word Vayikra in the Torah is kind of special. Now, it's really just a regular word, okay? But in the Torah, there are like thousands and thousands of words. There are 9 words where one letter of the word is a different size, okay? Some of them have an extra large letter, a few of them an extra small letter. And here, Vayikra, and God called, the Aleph is tiny. So your word, Vayikra, is one of those special words of the Torah. And in it, the Aleph is really like half size. In Hebrew, the Aleph means I. The Aleph is a symbol for myself, okay? This Torah portion, really the whole book, Vayikra, is about trying to make things more sacred, more holy. And there's a message to all of us, and it's connected to your words here, too, about kindness, righteousness, justice. In order to do those things, sometimes we have to make ourselves a little smaller. In order to make the world a better place, it cannot be all about us, right? Our Aleph can't be giant. It won't work. Becoming an adult, bringing more holiness into the world, doing things for others, helping those less fortunate, require us to make our Aleph a little smaller. And that's right there in your Torah portion, a beautiful visual representation of the very words you spoke today. You talked about, I'm going to help others. It's not all about me anymore. I see other needs out there. Being part of a team is certainly a part of that, where you realize it's not all about me, it's about the team's success. The team today, the Jewish people, the team beyond today, humanity. Our job is to be part of those teams, and in order to do that, we've got to take that aleph and just bring it down a little bit. Thank you, Daniel, for modeling that through your mitzvah project, for putting words to that in this beautiful speech. And all of us hope that you, going forward as an adult in our world, will continue to practice this type of upright behavior, thoughtfulness, thinking of others, and really taking yourself. At times you can stay in the center, but for much of the time, out of the spotlight. Thank you, Daniel, for helping us and connecting this really, you could say, somewhat obscure Torah portion to life today. You have been a blessing to us in your leadership. You have been a blessing to your community in this mitzvah project, your work with the people and friends that you have. And we hope you'll be a blessing going forward, continuing to practice these very things. Don't delete this file, right? Come back to this text that you yourself spoke throughout your life. The cantor and I, on behalf of all the clergy, want to share a blessing with you that thanks you for the blessing you've been today, but also reminds you to keep going with that blessing as you go out as an adult in our world. So I'd like to invite you and your mom and dad and your sister, the entire family, to come forward and stand here at the edge of the ark so that we may bestow a blessing upon you. Guys, come on forward. Daniel, may God bless and keep you always. You have shone so beautifully upon us today. May God shine upon you throughout your life. Daniel, may God grant you all the things you want and you need and you deserve, especially shalom, peace, a peace that lives inside of you, a peace that you share with your wonderful family, this family and the bigger family that's here, a peace that you, through your gifts, bring into our world. Amen.
Stay here. Taking your place in an enduring line. This is the day that you stood up to say our tradition is mine. You have now read the Torah. It's been passed on to you. It's our law and our story, but each telling is new. We stood at Sinai, and today you know you're there. You're the promise of a people, a blessing and a prayer. Taking your place in a resilient line. This is the day that you stood up to say our tradition is mine. You have now held the Torah, forged a link to the past. You're the face of our future and the reason we last. La'alechet bidrachav ve'lishmor mitzvotav kol hayamim. May you walk in God's ways, and may all of your days be blessings. It is said we stood at Sinai, and today you know you're there. You're the promise of a people, a blessing and a prayer. You're the promise of a people, a blessing and a prayer.
Beautiful. We come now to the last part of our service. Won't you go back to your seats but remain standing? Everyone in the sanctuary, we're going to rise together for the last section of the service. You at home, if you'd like to stand in body or in spirit, we are on page 282, 282, Aleinu L'Shabeach. We join our cantor as she stands at the ark, leading us in this prayer.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please remain standing as we come to the last prayer here in our service, Kadisha Tom, a prayer of memory, a prayer that honors those who have come before us. I'm sure there are many people that you all can think of who you wish could be part of such a day. We also are aware of our congregants who are joining us through the live stream, who are mourners and want to say the mourner's Kaddish. So we hope you'll read along with us on page 294, Kadisha Tom. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omei omaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithalev v'yithalal shemei d'kudisha b'ruchu le'olam mimkol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran ba'alma v'imeru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace and comfort, strength and love and support to all who mourn, to everyone who is grieving here and everywhere, and let us say, Amen. Won't you please be seated, and thank you all, and cantor.
Daniel, what a wonderful job you've done today. I hope you're feeling all of the knots and the nervousness loosening, because you did a great job and there's no need to be nervous anymore. And in that vein, I'd like to also tell you about some gifts that we're going to give you. From the women of TRS, we have a copy of our Reform Movement's home prayer book, so that any Jewish events you have at your home, you are able to celebrate them and use this prayer book to help you. And then you will receive an envelope with 2 gift certificates. The first is from NIFTY, the North American Federation of Temple Youth, to use toward travel in Israel during your high school years. And that is, I really hope that you use this because my travels to Israel have been some of the most beautiful and transformative in my life, and I know that they will be also for you. And then the second gift certificate is from our youth committee and Tristy, plus an all-important travel mug for when you go to Israel. Finally, we have a Kiddush cup from the clergy, and it's our hope that each Shabbat that you celebrate, you will continue to use this and remember what a wonderful day this was throughout your Jewish life. Now that we've come to the end of our service, I'd like everyone to please turn to page 322 for our closing song. We'll be singing Ein Keloheinu. Please rise. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Kadonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Inspired today, Daniel, by your words and actions, may all of us go forth from this sanctuary, from this Shabbat experience, to do as you have done, to make the world a better place, to give to others, to karov, become closer to that which is important to us, sometimes even through sacrifice. May we together bring righteousness, kindness, justice, generosity into the world as you have. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.